There we go.
All right. Okay, great. Thanks everyone for joining the October Open Cybersecurity Alliance PGB meeting. This is the later edition of the evening of the meeting. Hopefully more friendly to our APAC folks somewhat, and very happy to have Vaughn here. So glad it worked out. Amazing. So the main agenda item. So there's two agenda items I wanted to cover today. First is I wanted to double confirm, although we're pretty much already at the deadline. Actually, we're kind of past the deadline, but I do know that Jane plans on submitting it end of day today. She was doing some last minute edits. So has everyone had a chance to review the RSA workshop session that we're attempting to propose and submit for the Open Cybersecurity Alliance? Everybody had a chance to review that and offer your feedback and comments to Jane. I see a lot of nodding around, so that's good. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic opportunity. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance to take a look at that and give the inputs. We're going to be submitting that over to them today, and fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes. All right. Any comments on that? No? Okay, fantastic. The second major item we wanted to go over today is, well, two things, I guess. So first I wanted to introduce Vasilios. For the few folks here who may not be familiar with him, I'll let him give a brief introduction. A lot of us know Vasilios really well. He's with me on the OASIS board of directors now, been involved with a number of standards efforts over the years, including STIX, OpenC2, Kakao. Fantastic guy. And he's, him and his company have now joined the Open Cybersecurity Alliance, and he's here on the governing board. And they're going to be demoing a project today that they want to contribute to the Open Cybersecurity Alliance, an open source project. And some of us have seen it already. And we talked about it briefly last month, but this will be the first time I think a lot of folks will have a chance to see it besides myself. So Vasilios, did you want to just briefly introduce yourself to the group?
Oh yeah, especially for Rich, we never had the opportunity to meet before, so it's good to see you.
You too.
Vasilios Mavroidis. So my main affiliation is, with the University of Oslo. I'm a professor at the University of Oslo, and I'm also a standards architect for Sequoia, the French cybersecurity technology provider, that is also sponsoring an OCA project. But in this context, I also have a tiny SME that basically I use to conduct some research that I cannot at the university for one or more reasons. So I have together with me my colleague Mateusz. We are together in multiple efforts. He's a PhD candidate at the University of Oslo, but he's also my product manager for the tool that we are going to demonstrate in a minute. So that's it with the introductions. I'm not sure, Jason, if you want me to.
Awesome. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Vasilios. So we can probably just get straight on to the demonstration then. So quick 20,000 foot view for everybody. So Vasilios shared the project proposal with us last month. And this is the demonstration of the software that goes along with that proposal that we reviewed. If you don't have it, let me know and I believe that we emailed it to the mailing list. If you don't have it handy, I can send it out again. But it's a open source Kakao editor at a high level, and we'll let them take it away now and give the full end-to-end demo of it, and then open up the floor to questions on how the project will work and things of that nature. All right.
Awesome. So can we make sure that Mateusz can share his screen? So I'll do the talking, he'll do a demo. So I'll just summarize that basically what we want to offer is Kakao editor. We want to make it open source. So for those of you that don't know what Kakao is, basically Kakao, it's soon to be standard, and basically it's a standard that allows us to define cybersecurity playbooks using a common format. And it's in a machine readable format, and we can use it, for example, for exchanging playbooks, but most importantly also, to consume these playbooks, an orchestrator, and perform something. There are multiple use cases. We can discuss them later, and we can actually tell you how we use Kakao playbooks. Let me move my so I can see you here fully. So yeah, now you can see basically the Kakao editor. We can discuss the architecture after the demo if you want, but this is the front end, the user interface. So in brief, so the Kakao editor allows us to graphically represent Kakao playbooks. So we can create playbooks, we can modify these playbooks in a graphical manner, and we can import them, we can export them, and then we have some extra functionalities there. So this is the first page that you'll see. This is a web application, and we can either create or import a playbook. So let's just try to create a playbook.
Should we go with the agenda that I have created, or you want to go?
Sure. I haven't checked your agenda, but I can read it in real time, and we can do that. So, okay.
Yeah.
First point, to import an existing Kakao playbook. Okay, let's do that then. So, could you, before you import it, could you also open it in some kind of editor so we can show the JSON file itself? I mean, briefly how it looks like, right? We don't need to really read it.
So this is also here, but I can do it immediately. So we can just download it and open it here. So here is the small Kakao playbook that we have opened to the right. So
right.
This is
basically a playbook based on the Kakao specification that the Oasis Kakao Technical Committee has developed, right? So we have defined the playbook, and Kakao playbooks are serialized in a JSON format. So simple Kakao playbook, we just import into in the editor, and you can take this editor away. And this is how it looks like. Basically, the editor that we aim to open source, does many things. So we'll just take these things one by one. So basically, as you can see in the left side, we have this panel, the palette that allows us basically to drag and drop action steps. So we can start also creating a pseudo playbook right now. So just go with the flow, just create a few nodes so they can see how it operates, right? So as you can see, we can add nodes, we can delete nodes. At the end of the day, we represent everything graphically, but when we export it, it's going to be in JSON, right? In the common format that we have designed in the Kakao TC. So this is an example playbook. So if you click on a node, you'll see that on the right side, the panel expands and shows all the Kakao properties pertinent to this action step, but playbooks also have the common metadata, as we call them. So if you can show them how they look like, right? So on the top of the web application, basically you can see the playbook name. Maybe we can modify some values in real time to demonstrate how the playbook, how the editor reacts. So right, everything happens in real time. So we change the name. The editor identifies that this is a Kakao 2.0, basically its version. We can start adding labels, and the labels appear, you see, under the description of the playbook. So
revoke the playbook as well.
And revoke the playbook. So all these things are encoded in JSON. So can we show the JSON file from within the editor, right? So you can see actually what we populate here in real time.
So right? This, when you are in the metadata, when you click on the JSON tab, you will see the full JSON of the playbook. However, if you go to for example, this action step, click on JSON, you see only the JSON for this particular step that you have clicked on. We have also incorporated JSON schema validations. So we validate the Kakao playbook with JSON schemas, and here we we have feedbacks what we miss or what are the fields that are required that we haven't fulfilled. So in the new action step that I have created, we miss the commands and we miss the agent.
That
So
we
you
are
can-
going to create in a second. But having said that, considering that you haven't finalized your playbook for one reason or another, we can still download the playbook, right? And we can import it back.
Correct.
And this is a multi-instance application, so we can actually start working on multiple playbooks at the same time. And basically, we can interconnect them if we want to. Nevertheless, don't start writing things from scratch. We can go
Yeah,
through
yeah.
this playbook. Yeah.
So I
And,
just wanted to show the, for example, yeah.
So an action itself is supposed to perform something. It doesn't matter if it's automated or manual. There is a taxonomy here. Can you click on the type?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So you can see the list of commands that we support, right, based on the Kakao specification. Of course, that's an open vocabulary, so it means that we can extend the schema and then the editor consequently. So basically, we have an approach that half of the things that you see in the editor, basically the properties in the right side panel, are automatically populated through the schemas. So that allows us basically to update the editor rapidly when we want to. So except if it's a completely new construct most of the times. But for the existing constructs, if we have like, we change a property within an object, for those that are familiar, no, this is going to be automatically updated. So now we retrieve the schemas from our own GitHub repo, and we conform to the latest version of the Kakao specification that has not been published yet, officially at least, right? But since we are part of the committee, we keep updating the editor. So we're almost done with finalizing Kakao, so we want to have the latest version, right? So as I said, action steps have a command. So can we populate one command?
We haven't. I created a bash command, and then
Right.
I was thinking to add an agent.
Okay. Before you add an agent, so even though that we populated them, we have functionality that we call, expanded or not expanded mode. So this is the reason you cannot see the commands right now. But if we click the expanded mode, you'll start also seeing the commands pertinent to this action step, right? But maybe this will become quite heavy at some point. I mean, with regards to readability, so we can click, the expanded mode again, and then it will basically filter out the commands and the agents. So can we keep it in the expanded mode, and let's also add an agent, because we have an action step. This may be, for example, block a particular domain that is performed over an agent. So we're going to define this agent right now. So we can see also the agents that are going to execute / perform the command itself. So of course we have incorporated all if logic, while, etc., etc., etc. It's quite interactive, right? So we can move the whole graph itself. And we have some extra functionality, so we can create more space if you want to interact with the graph. So you can add other nodes in between. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, and you have that small, but I don't know what's the term itself. This small window
Minimap,
right? So we can find the graph in case we lose it, because it has happened to us in the past. So we can integrate also this one because the canvas is quite large in this case.
And also, since we now have filled in the command and agent, we can now see that the playbook is fully valid according to the JSON schemas and conforming to the Kakao specification.
That would be correct. So what else do you have in the list to demonstrate? So yeah, basically you can, before you do anything else, I would like to say that, we have incorporated, we call it the coordinates mechanism. That is also a new work product in the Kakao TC, because otherwise it's not, you create a playbook, you export it and you import it. So then it's going to be just a bunch of sequential steps, and this does not support readability. So we came up with a new work product in Kakao, so we can define coordinates for each action step, because that way we can make more sense with regards to what we're trying to achieve, right? So just to aid readability and understanding. So basically, could you show that how the JSON would look like if we incorporate the coordinates?
So we have incorporated the coordinates as an Kakao extension. So now when we export, we have the question if we want to export with the coordinates. I take yes, I mark it as yes. Okay. So now we have JSON, Kakao JSON with the coordinate extension.
And basically, the extension mechanism is the same mechanism that Stix uses, right? It's the exact same.
BPMN.
No, I'm talking about the extension definition.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So the extension definition mechanism is exactly the same as, in the Stix standard. Yeah.
Correct.
So now, if you import this playbook, it's going to be represented, in the same way, basically.
Yeah. So let me also export it without the coordinates, and I can open new window here and import this playbook. We have this is without the coordinates, which we have an auto placement functionality, but this is not how we want to visualize the playbook. We want to have our desired layout on it. So let us import the playbook with the coordinates. And here is the playbook that I have here. The previous one I took the wrong one. I have too many playbooks here, sorry.
Yeah.
So here is without the coordinates, and here is with coordinates, how I wanted to have the layout.
Right. And we have some kind of, for the obvious reasons, first of all, we didn't have time to create a comprehensive playbook to demonstrate you. We have some, but we cannot show them to you because, they are sensitive because we're designing playbooks in the context of European projects for specific national security authorities.
I have one template playbook if you want, which has a bit more nodes, but which is high level as well.
It will be nice if we can demonstrate something more comprehensive.
Yeah, I had it some here. Here.
Right. Okay, that's a CISA playbook, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So, what else do you have in your list to demonstrate except the signatures and those things?
So we have the extension. So also we can download this as SVG. So then you can share an image with your partners.
Right. Could we just add also a TLP marking?
Yeah, should be fine.
Oh, is that simple to do it, right? So now you can see that this is a TLP Amber defined playbook. Having said that, we have some extra stuff now here to demonstrate. So Kakao implements digital signatures, and we have incorporated the mechanism so that we can digitally sign a playbook and verify the playbook, and also, the counter signature mechanism that we have as part of Kakao. Do we have the ability now to sign a playbook?
Yes, so let me just explain one thing, because this playbook that we are looking at now, somebody else have created that, so now I have imported that, so this is not my own playbook. So here we have the option to countersign.
Wait, just give me a second just to explain that a little more. So, as an entity, right, individual organization, you need to have your own identifier, right? Your own identity when you create the playbook. So this playbook, since it has been designed by CISA, let's say it has a different identifier, so it doesn't belong to us. So the editor is going to identify that because you put this information in the user settings, right? And then if you go to do anything with this playbook, it's going to inform you that this is not your own playbook. So we'll need to create a new playbook with your own identifier, and this is considered a new playbook, right? It's exactly how Stix also works, right? With versioning. So basically, if you modify something that is not yours, well, this is a new Stix object, so you cannot really version it right now.
Correct. So when create just one simple playbook that we are the owners, we have the sign button here, and then we can choose which algorithm you want to use, and then you sign the playbook. And then you have the verify button saying that the playbook is, the signature is verified. And let's change anything. We change the name in the action step, and we try to verify the playbook. It's not, the signature is not valid anymore because we have modified the playbook.
Of course, now for the purpose of the demonstration, right, and because we don't have a back end, we have a hard-coded, in quotes, the hard-coded these things in the user interface, right? Basically, the public and private key just for demonstration purpose, right? We're not supposed to have them here exposed like this. I'll show you how the mechanism works. Yeah, we have incorporated something else because at some point somebody contacted us. So basically, a research institute in the Netherlands that they are creating an open source Cacao orchestrator. And since they already knew that we are creating a user interface, basically the Cacao editor itself, right, to create playbooks, they wanted to couple this web app with their orchestrator. So they came then, we're like, okay, but how are you going to track the execution of your playbooks? So then we created a small extension for that as well. So if we can demonstrate the execution status, this is something that you can either manually interact with, basically, because you can use a playbook and you can manually execute this playbook, and you would like to keep notes, right? What has happened while performing this action? You can do this manually, and then, for example, it says automate execution is false. It means that someone executes this step manually. Well, this is something extra, I think, that we have incorporated. So basically, the executed by is supposed to be a Cacao agent or target. Basically, an entity that's defined by the Cacao specification. But we have also incorporated, Stix identifiers if you want to use. Yeah. And of course, many technical details here about how these things are encoded, because this conforms fully to the specification in general. And what happens here is that the sophistication in this mechanism is used a lot for debugging. So when you execute a Cacao command, many times part of these commands use variables, right? So they expect some kind of values. And if something goes wrong, if you don't have the full command, right, what was actually executed, you cannot really debug it. So basically, this mechanism here is going to show you the actual command that has been executed after replacing the variables, right, that are placeholders, basically. So if something sounds a little, because, maybe it becomes too technical at some points, just interrupt me and, I can paraphrase what I'm saying and take it at a higher level. And of course, you can use the execution status mechanism programmatically, right? So an orchestrator is going to connect with an API that is under development, that is going basically to show if something has been executed correctly or not, and it shows the full details, right? And we have this small, what is that, a button, let's call it, in the action step that shows exactly, intuitively if this is fine, if it has been executed successfully or not. So it changes colors, basically. I'm not sure, Mateusz, if you want to add something or if I forgot anything or...
No, I think we are good now.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you would like also to have a summarization on the technologies involved and the architecture of this tool. If you are interested, Mateusz can summarize, what language we have used and the basic.
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna, I don't think we need to go in the architecture, but like, what programming languages would definitely, I think, be interesting information.
Mateusz, you can go ahead and.
Yeah, so it's purely TypeScript and run with Node. So it can be easily integrated to any front-end applications.
Yeah, something very important is that when we release this tool, there is a separation of concerns here. So the user interface and the web app, what you see here is one thing, but basically the sophistication lies in the library that is separated than what you see right here, which basically creates Kakao. So this library is a separate package, right? Like we have a sticks library to create sticks objects. So we have the same thing here for Kakao. Basically, you don't need even to use it. You don't want this user interface, but you can use the library that we have created, so you can create Kakao objects.
And that's a TypeScript library?
Correct. Yes.
So would this actually be two GitHub repos? Two repos as part of this project?
We have it separately right now. So yes, I think it's good practice to have it separately.
All right.
And in our case, Jason, sorry to interrupt, we have also the GitHub repo with JSON schemas, right? Because at the end of the day, everything, all inform each other, at least when we develop stuff. Yeah.
And we have a separate for coordinates and we have separate for execution status. So we treat them as libraries.
Yeah. No, I'll open the floor to questions. And so the only other question that I had is, I know with the proposal that we saw last month, you didn't have the license yet, and I know we talked Vasilio, so you already have that. The license is going to be Apache, is that correct?
Correct. So I mean, it was just a misunderstanding because the way this was articulated there, it was like if it has a license, this particular moment, and the answer was no. This is the reason we never completed this field. So.
Oh, one other question before I open it. Is this is there like there's like another version, there's like another extension to the open source that you're doing as well, correct?
The answer now is no. So in the past, we're thinking to publish the base version that didn't have some of these capabilities that we demonstrated, but we decided just to open source everything pertinent to the editor. So
Okay.
That's the full version, and we don't have any other version. And of course, we have some open action items to improve this one. So, but they may come as a next release.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll open it up to any questions from anyone else in the call. No? Come on, someone's got to have a question.
First of all, I just want to say thanks for sharing the demo. This is really cool. When will this be officially released? Is there you mentioned you're getting an Apache license for it. Is this going to be available on GitHub or somewhere?
Correct. So from our side, we have discussed this. So the editor is ready, right? But we need to create the right documentation. We do have documentation, but when it's about publishing something, through OCA and open source, we need to refine everything. So we need to check everything. We need to do some more testing, right? So our internal deadline that covers everything, right, from testing to debugging and having the documentation ready and having a seamless way to install this, such as a Docker image if you want to, right? We discussed it's January 15. So that's our is a strict deadline for us. So possibly we'll be ready at the end of November, but we gave ourselves some more time so we can when Mateus and the team finishes with all the changes, we'll do some testing. I would like to do, some testing. So, if we find any bugs, let's address them. So.
Cool. And another question I had, I can see you've got the palette on the top left there, where you can drag new nodes onto the workflow. Is there a way to, could you have a library of components that are pre-built for specific commands or pre-built actions, things like that?
Let's call it now a knowledge base of actions. Action steps that we can reuse.
So that if you're doing the same command multiple times across different workflows, can you have a library and reuse the actions?
That would require a backend, a knowledge base, let's call it, and we don't have that. So in our future plans is to create a knowledge management system that will do many stuff. So the simple answer is no.
And also, I was wondering, you showed the agents, and I think there's a few other values you can populate in there. Is there, if you wanted to reuse agents, would that also be in an external knowledge base? So you'd have a set of agents that you can reuse across all your playbooks?
It's the same approach, right? So you cannot do that right now. So it doesn't matter if it's an action step or an agent or a command. So we would need to have a data store that has these things there and integrated with the front end so we can access them.
Yeah. So when it comes to agents, you can reuse the same agent within a playbook, one playbook that you are working on, but no between playbooks.
Right.
Definitions at the top. Yeah.
Correct. So you can show that, you can demonstrate that super fast, how it looks like.
So agent, and here, right now we don't have any, but here we will have the list of all defined agents within the playbook. So let's just create an individual, for example, like me, and now we have me here. Let me create another one just to show. So we have two agents. Let me remove that, create new action step, add agent, and you can see all the defined agents within this playbook.
Cool.
And of course, you can also modify all the relationships, right? So you can click on a relationship. So you can decide, if you'd like to change if it's on success, on failure, for any kind of reason you did a mistake. You can remove nodes, delete nodes very fast. And of course, that's also, it also aligns with the Kakao specification. Basically, for example, if you have on success, let's say, possibly, or not possibly, you should not have a non-completion relationship populated. So these things disappear automatically from the palette, right, based on your choice. So if you would like to see, if you click now on a completion, right? So can you change to, right.
Yeah, so we also have this, what we call contextual menu. So this shows you only the shapes and connections that are allowed from the current shape. So for example, as Vasily said, we had on completion here. So now when I click here, I cannot do anything, nothing. But if I change this connection to be on success, then Kakao specification allows me to have also an on failure connection. So then I can create new node having on failure connection.
Yeah, nice.
But right now, when I have these two, I cannot change to anything. So I can delete, for example, this one, and now I can change back to on completion.
So, it supports conformity, right? So, it's transparent to the end user, but basically you cannot do something that you are not supposed to do.
Yeah, okay. And just on a similar note with in terms of the constraints of the of the definition, how are you or are you doing any I guess constraints around the structural semantics, if you will, of the
Yes.
playbook. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yes. So you cannot encode everything in JSON validation schemas. So there are many rules that are part of the software. So and that would be all right. So because the JSON schemas will take basically the validity of the constructs. But when it's about the playbook holistically, we have extra rules for these things.
Yeah, I'm thinking the branching in particular is sort of tricky, and then how you represent that to the user in a way that they can understand why a particular. I mean, are there constraints that stops people building invalid branching structures, or do you is it just in the errors?
I think so. So, for example, I don't think that you can populate nothing after an end step. You check that. I mean, so this is the reason I'm saying, right? Testing is too important, right? So yeah, so you cannot do nothing after that, right? If you have an end step. For sure, we have incorporated many of these mechanisms. Maybe we have missed some things. So testing is very important, and we aim to receive feedback. So
yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, again, this looks really nice, and thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. So have we exhausted the things that we wanted to demonstrate, Mateus?
I think so.
That was, at a short notice, so we are not very well prepared. So.
No, thanks a lot, guys. I also know it's really late in the evening for y'all, so thank you for doing that. Does anybody else have any questions for the team or thoughts? The next step, so that everyone's clear, right, is basically to open a ballot, right? So we held off on actually opening the official ballot because we wanted to give Vasilios a chance to demonstrate the application so people knew what they're voting on. And the next step is to actually open a ballot to formally accept the project. And then once we do that, and I think as per the earlier conversation, then we can figure out where the repos go. And the only other thing, I saw an email, I think from Duncan, or it was somebody, about just a suggested name. I don't know if you guys have
It was
like an
Duncan.
actual, yeah, the roaster, the roast the cacao, I guess. Have you thought about a name for the project? Is that seriously something you want to do, or have you thought about it at all?
We are fine. We are open to suggestions, right? I mean, that's how we named it. It's very easy to identify, the project that we're working on internally. So for us, it was the Cacao Editor. So if you have any good ideas,
we can name it. It's really up to y'all. It's your project, right? So there's no formal requirements for name. I do think a catchy name kind of helps people remember, other than just like the OCA Cacao Editor. So if y'all can talk about it internally and figure out it, we'll just need to figure out what it is before we move the repos over and whatnot, right? But yeah, anyone have any other questions about the project? No, okay, great.
You mentioned, sorry, one question. You mentioned you're aiming for November 30. Will this feature in the Plugfest?
Well, we'll have it in the Plugfest for sure, but the Plugfest, the real event will be in March. So in November we have the preparation stage. So we are fine with giving access to people to create playbooks if they want for the purpose of the Plugfest. But nevertheless, we are going to release it, prior to the Plugfest, like a few months before the Plugfest. So yeah, but still, if you want to get access, we are fine with that.
Oh, I mean the proposed virtual Plugfest that's coming up, which is November 30.
I wasn't even aware there was a virtual Plugfest in November.
There's
maybe I'm not supposed to say that on this channel.
There's no virtual Plugfest in November. It's just an event for preparing for the Plugfest. So it
Oh,
will
okay,
be the
right.
place that we are going to disseminate our ideas and create use cases and start saying, I want to integrate with this, or I have this idea. How are we going to implement it? What do we have in terms of tools? So we can be prepared. So it's the preparation meeting.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Whew, I'm glad I wasn't missing something big. Okay. One other thought I just had. I'm just curious if you've tried this. So have you guys tried? So I know that Vaughn's company actually made that Cacao BPMN to Cacao converter and ran some of the SISA playbooks through it. Like, do those playbooks, like, can it actually go end to end? Can it go BPMN to Cacao using that tool and then import them into this editor?
So I guess one already knows the answer, but we also know the answer because we have experimented with it. So Mateusz can tell you more about it. Possibly we have already enhanced also the tool. I'm not sure if we can share that yet, but Mateusz, please go ahead because you played a lot with it, right? So.
Well, I think one should say his opinion. But basically what I experienced was that the more complex playbooks have some issues in translating. So we cannot translate playbooks with logical steps, which is possibly more than half of them. So it needs some improvement, but yes, when we have a translator ready, they can of course go from end to end.
Yeah, I think we have already improved it. I don't know, because we checked it right away, and then we translate a number of playbooks. I don't remember the number. How many did we translate? I mean, without any kind of modification. Do you remember the number, or?
I don't remember right now.
Okay. I think it was like half or 1/3, something like this. Whatever was with any kind of special logic, was not. And of course, we have the issue of conformance, basically, right? Because the Cacao specification has changed so much over time, especially the last few weeks. You're going to be shocked now on what has happened. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to have the conversation with Charlie and the SISA team about, like, what would need to be done for them to upgrade those to Cacao, because
it's just a little more programming. That's all. Because all the BPMN playbooks that are pure BPMN playbooks, they are going up to the let's call it description level. So they don't go up to the pure command level. So basically, just convert basic stuff. The nodes, the paths, right, and basically the descriptions, in these nodes. Because BPMN itself does not have the ability to incorporate more things, at least the base modeling notation standard.
Yeah.
Having said that, excuse me, I interrupt you. We have also played with LLMs in creating playbooks, and we can demonstrate that, with good success, right? So we can demonstrate that in another meeting, that we can be more prepared. So getting reports.
That sounds like a different interesting project.
Yeah. But we have tried getting some, let's say, playbooks, in a textual format, and it was almost seamless to transform into BPMN. But of course, then we need the conversion mechanism to go from BPMN to Cacao, right? We need to improve that. So, yeah.
I just wanted to say on the converter, it works for translating to Cacao 1.1. The logic for 2.0 is not entirely accurate. My success rate with 1.1, I think, was probably about between 2/3 and I want to say about 3/4 of the BPMN playbooks converted into something valid. You could display it. Certainly in our Cacao viewer on our platform, it was. And mind you, this is not for general availability. It's still something we're working on. But I found with the certainly the structural semantics of the constraints for 2.0. Some of the CISA playbooks simply will not be able to convert directly into Cacao 2 because they have structures in them that are invalid when expressed in Cacao. So yeah, still a thing.
We have fixed that, so we can demonstrate another meeting. We have fixed that, yes. So yeah, we have proper semantics there. So we just take one direction than multiple ones, right? Because you have many ways. For example, and Mateus can be super opinionated on that because he did this research. So can you say? I mean, we have many ways of modeling, let's say, conditional logic in BPMN. But as long as you establish, one way programmatically to do it, then it's totally fine. So
it's about
yeah.
So it's about restricting the user to not give them too many choices because, as Vasil said, I believe we had like at least 5 different methods to convert an if statement or represent an if statement, right? But as long as you choose one, it should be fine.
Yeah, I think I have your paper on BPMN to Cacao open in a browser tab somewhere. So.
Yeah, at least we implemented some of these things programmatically, some of these things, right? Because we never actually saw the real value of, really going forward further with this research. Another thing, so Mateus, if you can share your screen, because I want to be also very transparent and I'll show you something that we have noticed. Just demonstrate a playbook that has, a couple of end steps. You opened a more comprehensive playbook a while ago, right? A CISA playbook.
Yes. Let me share the screen.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what's the problem with Cacao compared to BPMN. So in Cacao, in order to track the execution state of the playbook, right, there are no nodes that can converge. So for example, in BPMN, if you have a parallel step, you have a node that says that this is a parallel step. These are the parallel steps, and then they converge, and then the execution continues. So in Cacao, when you have the node that says parallel, and then you have the action steps, in order to continue the execution, you need to go back to the previous node. So all the parallel steps, for example, right, obviously here, we have a parallel step, right, in this amber square, and then we have 2 if condition steps. In order to be able to track the execution, we need to have 2 end steps, because this is how Cacao has designed that, right? So the end step basically dictates that you need to go back to the parallel step, right, and end it. So this, of course, when you visualize it, in order to conform to Cacao, it needs to be there in JSON. This is something that we haven't thought before, right? Because we didn't need to basically to visualize that, right? And now we pollute the graph. We can remove the end nodes, but when we export the playbook, the encoding is going also to have the end steps there. Because you can imagine that if you start having a very complex playbook, it will be so red because of how many end steps you need to have, so that the orchestrator can track the execution of the playbook. But when it's about the visual representation, you don't need these end steps there, because you can just read this intuitively. You can understand exactly what's going on. So this is a mistake that we have done. It's in the open action items for us to improve it. So many of these end steps, for example, after the if condition step, need to go away. So there is nothing there, right? But when you will execute that, the Cacao JSON has the end steps. So just not to pollute the visual graph, because we have some very complex graphs and there are so many end steps without reason there.
Yeah, on this particular example, and I was when you had that on the screen before, I was looking at this, and I think this, I'm pretty sure I have seen one of these before, and it's this is one of the more difficult examples where you have a number of those. Yeah, okay, there it is. Where you've got those arrows all going into that action step is as directed report status to CISA. I feel like that step there is almost like a go-to statement in some ways. Like that would not be. You would have to completely rearrange the playbook to make it conform to the Cacao structure. Is that a fair comment?
Right, no. In this particular use case, because this has been designed to really conform to the Cacao specification in JSON. Unfortunately, what you have in JSON may not be the same as what you have in the canvas for, illustration, right? So this is the reason you see so many complex stuff here. We could have normalized a little, not the action step that really have a meaning, right? But like the end steps and there's so many relationships that go to the end steps, we can eliminate them. They can be transparent to the user, but they are going to be part of the JSON file, right? But this is something right now that can be executed by an orchestrator, which is also visually represented super accurately. So when I say we remove nodes, it's not that we don't represent them accurately, it's just that we remove the unnecessary stuff, such as, we are saying the if condition step, can you patch? And there is another if condition step, signs of exploitation. So you go to the on true or on false, right? And that would be all. So when something is completed, for example, in the on completion, you don't need to have the end step there. You just need to go back according to Kakao to the parallel step and continue with something. So we need to improve the visual representation. But this conforms now 100%, right, to the JSON representation. So, yeah. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, okay.
It's just that we didn't initially we didn't think about it because the playbooks that we're designing, were not very large. When we started creating large playbooks, we're saying, "Wow, what's going on here? We have like 50 end steps," and then it was so difficult to understand what's going on. I mean, because when you see an end step here, most of the people will think, this is the end of the playbook. It's not the end of the playbook. It doesn't stop the execution of the playbook. This is the node that tells you that you need to go back to the right step to continue the execution, right? Because Kakao was not designed with a modeling notation, in its, it was not in the purpose of having a modeling notation. So it was designed only for being consumed by an orchestrator. And that makes sense. But when you start visualizing with, and you want to be really accurate, you need to have these end steps, but they can be transparent to the user. They can be removed so you can really read the graph. And then, you can understand exactly, I need to go somewhere else now. Whereas now it says end there. And what is that end? Is this the end of the playbook? No, it's not, according to Kakao.
Yeah, it's the end of a branch. Yeah,
Right.
I think for in terms of a user experience, like it just
Correct.
It's a lot of cognitive load to try and think about
Correct.
what that means. Yeah.
Correct. Exactly. So we know what that means because we designed the Kakao specification, but somebody else, will get super confused. And not only this, the way it is designed right now, if you don't put an end step there, if you export this and you push to orchestrator, this is an invalid playbook. So actually this step needs to have an end step. It's just that we are not going to visualize it. We are just going to encode it automatically. So we conform 100% to the specification.
So I'm just watching the clock. I see we're at the top of the hour and people are probably gonna have to drop.
Right.
So thanks again, folks. The folks, it's really late for some of you and Vaughn as well. I know it's really early. Oh, hey, we're locked. Did we lose people? Oh, I lost my window. Sorry.
Because I stopped sharing only.
You stopped sharing and everything disappeared, and I thought the call. Okay. Y'all still here. All right. And thanks, Vaughn. I know it's early for you, but it's great to be able to have you on these bi-monthly calls. So we'll open the ballot and send it out for any other comments, and hopefully we can get this passed in the next month so we can proceed on doing the GitHub logistics with Chet and the rest of the Oasis team. Any closing thoughts or comments?
Thank you again. That was really interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks all.
Thanks everybody. Thanks, Rich, Shokwe.
Thank you.
Guys.
With the demo. Great.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you
Bye.
for joining. Bye bye.